Yo, 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 welcome to NS9. I'm sorry, welcome to NS9 Live. I can't remember what show we're doing. I'm so used to WNS9 Plus and all this. Welcome to NS9 Live. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we have our co-host, Jim. We got Tyler. What's up, everybody?
You know what? At least that introduction was better than the first 2 minutes of Cody post-game show yesterday.
Yeah, about that. I don't know. Was it, though?
Maybe. Yeah.
Jim's got some Kentucky internet issues, it appears.
Yeah, I was going to say, actually, I don't know if it is, Jim, because you look terrible. Like, worse than normal.
And now we can't hear him. That is so poetic.
What got the little bar in the top left corner, the Wi-Fi bar? It's not looking good. It's not looking good right now.
This is what you get for mentioning Cody's issue yesterday.
I shouldn't have said anything.
Had to be such an asshole to start the show, dunk on Cody and his faults yesterday to just do this. This is what you're doing, Jim. This is karma. You know, behind the scenes, like, you're just so evil and mean to people, and this is karma coming back to you. Like, these people right now in the yeah, exactly. Get out of here.
That's tough. That's really tough.
These people don't even realize it.
Jim has been so mean in the group text.
For real.
All right.
You get over there. You're not in the middle anymore.
Is it better now?
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I apologize on Jim's behalf, everybody. It's roughly been 2 minutes. Can we start the show right?
Go ahead and do the intro video again.
Get our redo.
Yeah.
On the podcast, we'll edit the whole first part out. We'll just start from now.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyways, everybody, what's up?
Pirates stink.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
All right, that wraps up the show. See you guys next week.
The offense has been frustrating, to say the least. Pitching has been still solid. I mean, we're 2 months into the year. The start rotation has been good. Is it all messed up again?
We need a mulligan. Cody, where you at? Come back on the show, Cody. Go ahead, Jim. You're doing all right now, I guess.
I don't even know what I was saying. Go. You go.
This is a nightmare. This is so bad.
Okay, so the Pirates have been bad. We understand that. North Shore 9 podcast production has been horrific. But I guess, I don't know. Like you're saying, the pitching's been okay. The offense is just trash. It's absolutely trash. They had like those 2 games against Rodriguez and Zach Gallen where they just exploded, had some offense, and that was it. Just a little sneak surprise.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much more to say that we haven't been saying for a month now, it feels like. They're not putting the ball over the wall. There's not enough talent right now. There's not much positive to say offensively, and I'm sure we'll get into some of our solutions for it, but right now it's not good.
Right. Yeah, like I don't know if there's really a solution to it. There's things that can help it. And I don't want to make this a whole vent night, but of course I feel like when we get together, we tend to vent a little bit. And this is our like therapy because the post-game shows, the post-game, the 3 of us finally get on here at the same time. We get to vent a little bit. But you know what I'm tired of seeing? I'm tired of seeing when we're proponents of this, right? Talking about bringing up like Henry Davis, bringing up potentially Andy. Oh, that's going to solve the problems. Like there's 13 other issues on this team. That's not going to solve it. You don't have to solve it. And I'm not sure if we have solutions, but you shouldn't just not help it. That's what pisses me off. That's one of the things that's grinding my gears. I'm not sure if Ryan's having a podcast this week on Ryan's rants, but that's my rant right now. Just because something's not going to solve it doesn't mean you shouldn't try.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it just comes down to, especially like once the calendar hit May, no one's hitting. Andrew McCutchen is hitting well. Tucupita Marcano has been an average hitter basically for the month of May. No one else on the team has been average. Castro's the next best. Connor Joe, Bae. Brian Reynolds has been terrible this month. Really, he hasn't been good since he signed his extension, if we're being quite honest with ourselves. Like, well, it's been a while
when he
since
signed
Brian
the extension,
Reynolds.
He was,
but then he hasn't done anything
then he
since
just
then.
Fell off a cliff.
Ke'Bryan Hayes not hitting. Santana, dreadful month. Hedges and Delay both aren't hitting. I mean, Ryan just said it in the comments there. It's just a bad team. There aren't good players on this roster. Outside Andrew McCutchen, Brian Reynolds, Ke'Bryan Hayes, because of his defense only. Is there another everyday Major League Baseball player on this team?
No. That's all debatable.
I think you'd have a hard time coming up with one.
Yeah. And so we're
going to debate a lot of it tonight.
So we just named 3 players, and we can't name another one who is likely an everyday major leaguer.
Now, mind you, one of the people that you put in there was signed to not be an everyday player.
Yes, right. One of those guys
actually
was brought in to basically be a fourth outfielder / split time DHing. He's been the best hitter on the team.
Right.
At least since May 1st.
We can talk about the struggles till we're blue in the face, but at the end of the day, in the month of May, this team has hit 9 home runs. 9. That's 4 less than the next closest for the worst. They're not putting the ball over the wall.
Well, and the guys that you brought in to do that aren't doing it. Like, Brian Reynolds has 1 home run in May.
Yeah.
Carlos Santana has 0 home runs in May. Ke'Bryan Hayes, 0 home runs in May. McCutchen, Castro, Marcano each have 2. There's 6 out of your 9 home runs just between those 3 guys. Yeah, I mean, it's been bad. It's been bad, real bad.
The league punched back. Bad. The league punched back, and the Pirates have not made a single adjustment.
I don't even know if the league punched back or if it was just everyone got hot at the same time, and
I mean, at some point,
weren't that good.
Adjustment though, what the Pirates are doing, and they were very patient at the plate, and now we're seeing that kind of swing in the other direction where they're weirdly back to last year, where they're taking a lot of good pitches in bad situations.
Yeah, like I'll say like they're still walking at a very, very good rate though. That's something different from last year, but the strikeouts are pretty much in line, like you're saying, like from last year. They're not making contact. They're striking out. They're walking though. I'll give them that.
They're bad.
But I think it's fair to say, like, I mean, they were playing out of their minds for a bit.
Yeah.
We kept questioning, like, but are they good? Are they good? I mean, you saw the record. Like, we kept going back to them being 20-8. They're not a 20-8 team, but are they good? Is it just out of their minds? And there was a lot of stuff that you could point to say, I mean, this is somewhat legit, even though we're not saying like all these people are MVP type players, but it's not like it's just a hot 2-week stretch. Like there's something fundamentally different that this could hold up to a bit. But in the month of May, outside of Andrew McCutchen, like you're talking about, which he was one of them, like, is this for real? They've all just came down crashing.
I think what's frustrating about it is that you are seeing the starting pitchers perform. And, when you get a good start from one of these guys, maybe outside Keller, like Keller, you expect Keller starts, you expect to win those games, right? But then the other 4, toss-ups, right? Like they're major league starters, but they're going to give you a chance to win, but you're not expecting any of those guys to go out there and just like shove, right? So like when those other 4 guys are giving you quality starts and the offense is just doing nothing, it's frustrating because how many of those quality starts do those guys have in the tank this year? How long is this starting pitching going to hold up? And you just hope that while it's holding up, you can squeak out some wins, and they just haven't been doing it this month. Like the pitching has absolutely, like I have no bad things to say about this pitching staff, to be quite honest.
I think at the very least, you can say that this pitching staff has pitched at a level in this month to where they've at least made it so that this team should be playing 500 ball in the month of May.
That's very fair.
Pitched around league average, I would say. And
Yep.
this team offensively is just not. I mean, they're 0-20 something offensively this month. It's that bad.
Yeah, I mean, real quick here, ERA
doing the same thing I'm doing.
wise, pitching. The Pirates have the sixth best ERA in the season. For May, they're at 13th. So they're actually a little bit above average for the month of May, and they are 5-15.
Yeah, that's concerning about what's coming. Because obviously you mentioned it. We don't know that the pitch can hold up at this level. And if it doesn't, how much worse is it going to get?
Right. No, that's totally fair. Because he's pitched well so far, honestly. Like Rich Hill, speaking of him. He's pitched pretty well so far. Comparatively speaking, like what you were maybe expecting. I feel like it's been a couple of like rough outings, but in between there, it's been actually really, really strong outings. How long is that going to hold up for? Mitch Keller's, I mean, he's pitching fantastic. He could lose a whole like a whole run on his ERA and still be a good pitcher. You know, so it's like, is he going to be at this level the whole time to make those numbers that great? You know, you can kind of go down the line. So, you know, and then just in general, like who else is going to get injured? We don't know. I know Vince Velasquez is coming back. Is that going to hold up? Is he going to be the same guy? So like, there's still question marks in there, but it has been strong. It has been strong. And like, there could be reinforcements too. You know, Quinn Priest is actually pitching very, very well. So like, to your point, Tyler, yeah, like I can agree with that, but I could see the pitching kind of being somewhat in line the whole year. Just again, like just me. I can kind of see it. Luis Ortiz being up here, Quinn Priester's there.
Yeah, I think that's fair, especially when you look at starting pitching, but this bullpen can't hold up at the level it has. That's where the regression's really going to come down the line.
So you mentioned, let's kind of get into this a little bit. You mentioned, you know, the title of this is Smash or Pass is what this is titled. So who are we passing on when Vince Velasquez gets activated? Because it's going to happen probably Saturday. You know, Vince Velasquez is probably starting one of the games this weekend. What's the move? I think you've got a few ways to go. You could just do the easy thing, I guess, and that's option Ortiz back to AAA. Or you could try to get creative, whether that's a 6-man rotation, whether that's piggybacking somebody, whether that's, you know, I'm curious to see how they go with this, because I think Ortiz has showed that like he deserves some run time. But I could also see the Pirates not giving up quite yet on the guy that I would be giving up on, which is Dwayne Underwood Jr.
We would have gave up on him like a year ago if it was up to us.
So I'm curious to see what they do. If it were me,
yeah, that's what the show's about.
I'm saying buy Dwayne Underwood Jr. Maybe even try out a phantom IL stint, right? Maybe you don't even have to cut ties with him completely. But I am saying bye-bye to Underwood, and I'm piggybacking Rich Hill and Luis Ortiz. Give them each 4 innings, that time through the rotation. You keep Ortiz stretched out, but at the same time, you're also limiting his innings for the stretch run when you're hoping he can rejoin the rotation for good, because probably by that point, Vince Velasquez has been traded. Rich Hill's been traded.
Someone else.
So you open up some rotation spots. Ortiz is there to take it. Priest's there to take it. That's what I would do. I don't know if they're willing to get that creative just yet.
Pitching Yinza?
I think it's pretty obvious what they're going to do. I see no way that Luis Ortiz stays up here. I just think they're going to want to keep him on that schedule of being in the rotation and pitching every 5th day. I don't hate the idea of putting him in the pen. I would like to see him continue to start. Honestly, if it's up to me, I'd just ship Velasquez's ass to the bullpen and keep Ortiz in the rotation, because I don't really need to see him pitch. And I'd rather just focus on the future at this point. But I understand giving him another opportunity. He did nothing to lose his spot. It's a weird spot. It's a weird position where there's not really a guy that deserves to be out of the rotation. I think you can argue that Ortiz has probably been the worst of the 5. But he's also the guy I probably want to see the most. And also, you can argue about a 6-man rotation, although that could hurt Mitch Keller. But Rwanzi, on the other hand, probably needs to limit a little bit of his innings. So, I don't know. I'd prefer to keep him in the rotation and find a way to figure it out, but I just can't see it happening.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in line with all of you guys. I think they're going to send him down. Just because it's the Pirates. He wasn't here to start the year. There's reason for it. I think they're going to send him down, but I would be up to either or. I mean, the piggyback intrigues me because that's a way of really saving the bullpen. And like you talk about regression, that could potentially help them out. I mean, hey, if you don't need to use them for a game, that helps your team. So, I could definitely say that. And plus too, like it helps maybe Rich Hill a little bit and Luis Ortiz. To Jim's talking point though about saving him. I mean, I don't know if they really need to. I mean, he has innings. I'm not too worried about limiting. I know you weren't totally going this route, Jim, but I'm not too worried about limiting his innings so much this year because he was pretty much a workhorse last year. I think he's pretty much good to go, which is a positive for him. But I think the dynamic too of just having you're a team and you're facing Rich Hill and Luis Ortiz that day. Very contrasting pitchers. That's some strategy there too. So I think him going to the bullpen could help the bullpen, of course, could maybe help his development. But again, I think he's ready. I think he's ready. Everyone was trashing him after the first 6 innings of Major League Baseball this year. He showed you last week, he's got some stuff. I'm ready to hear go. And if it's a combination of Rich Hill and Luis Ortiz, I like that better than just the bullpen.
Here's a question. Would you rather go with Ortiz as a piggyback here or maybe find a way to do it with Oviedo? That's
fair.
I'm not quite ready to give up on Oviedo as a starting pitcher. He's interesting enough.
Are you giving up on him if you're
piggybacking? No, you're right. And I mean, that's a decision that you make is, who do you pick to do that?
Because he's also a guy you will probably want to limit innings for.
Maybe. So, but I think you could choose between either of those two. If you really wanted to get creative and have all 6 of these guys pitch, that's how you do it. I would rather them go that route than a 6-man rotation. Because with a 6-man rotation, then you're giving Mitch Keller less starts. You're giving. It's just I don't want to go that route.
You're saving the starters, not so much the bullpen. That's kind of where I'm at. The bullpen's what needs saved, not the starters.
Well, and like we all mentioned, all 6 kind of have shown that they deserve to be here. So, let's use all 6. We're trying to win baseball games right now, and at the same time, you also want to develop these young arms and see what you've got in them. You're not going to see what you've got in Luis Ortiz when he's dominating in AAA. He's done it. He's done it already. He's shown he's ready for the majors. He's shown the upside that makes him so interesting. We saw it in his last start. Like I said, that's why if it's me, I'm probably picking Ortiz as the piggyback guy though. I think Oviedo has shown that like he doesn't deserve to get moved around. Like, but so I'm going Hill. I'm going Hill, Ortiz, piggyback.
Yeah, I think Oviedo has not shown enough. I am a little bit encouraged by the 2-seam being added, so there's something there, I think, but he's really not been good this year.
I guess so. Let me present you this way. What you said
he has like a 4.70 ERA.
Yeah, but like if you look at his expected numbers, like I think
a lot of that was like 2 starts though too.
He's been good. Like that start against Texas again. That first inning was a disaster, but then he followed that up with 4 2/3 scoreless against the second best offense in baseball. Like, and the start before that, 6 innings, 1 run. Start before that, 5 innings, 1 run. Like the guy's been on a roll.
I just don't love him as a starter.
Again, so let me ask you this way, right? What you said is fair, right? It's fair. I'll give you that. I lean more towards Jim, but it's fair. But what has Luis Ortiz shown you to boot him out?
I think it's more that for the future, I believe more in Ortiz as a starter for this rotation. And
so with that said, for the future, I believe more in Luis Ortiz as well. But so far this year, Vince Velasquez has shown me he's doing it. So like, I'm not going to demote him to the bullpen back to the even further back point. He's shown me right now he's been a capable pitcher. So I'm not going to say, well, I'm more interested in Ortiz's future for this team and put him in there and put Velasquez in the bullpen when Velasquez has actually been really, really good lately.
I would demote them all but Mitch Keller and Contreras to the bullpen to keep Ortiz in the rotation.
Nothing but bullpen games.
If you give me Keller, Ortiz, and Rowe in the rotation, fill the other 2 in, I don't really care. Give me the future.
All right.
I mean, that's where I'm at this point. That's where I'm at with this team. And I get it. Like, nobody's really done poorly enough to lose their spot in the rotation.
Which is a good thing.
I know I just want to keep him in the rotation, and I want to have him pitch 5-6 innings a night because I want to see that third pitch start to develop. Like Jim mentioned, him going back to the minors. He's never going to throw the changeup in the minors no matter what they mandate on him because he can blow a fastball slider by everyone. He doesn't have a reason to throw it.
Or a 2-seamer.
Right. So you got to keep him up here so that he's going to be able to work on that third pitch more up here than he will down there, in my opinion. Because he's going to have to.
It's the like O'Neal Cruz situation. He's mastered it in AAA. He needs to develop it in the majors now.
Either way, I'm fine if he stays up here. If he goes to the bullpen, I'll live with it. I don't want to send him to AAA, but I fear that is the obvious solution they're going to come up with.
Yes, with Underwood still here.
Why do I do this why do I jump on this podcast? You guys just depress me.
That's why you're drinking the Busch Light, buddy.
I hate my life.
Yeah, I'm with Bucko Mike here. Piggyback's the way to go.
Yeah, the more I think about it, I don't like the 6-man rotation whatsoever. I don't want one less Mitch Keller start.
Right.
I just don't
that's
like
why
Velasquez.
That's why I'm with that too. I don't really want to see the 6-man rotation because we don't need to save the starters. We want Mitch Keller in there as often as possible. Keeps the bullpen at the weakness still. If you have a piggyback day, that's less Underwood, less all those other people not named Bednar and Holderman.
Sure. What's the matter? The offense is going to score 0 runs.
So we're not passing on Luis Ortiz. We want him here. We feel the Pirates have to get creative. And of course, the one thing we know the Pirates aren't is creative.
Yeah, I'm fully expecting. Well, although, you know what? I feel like if Luis Ortiz was going to the minors, they would have done it right after his last start. because otherwise he's just up here accumulating like 4 more days of service time. So that leads me to think that might not be the move.
My only thing back to that is just being extra cautious and making sure Vince Velasquez is good. That could be the only reason. You make a valid point. I agree. They could just be playing the very, very cautious game.
Velasquez would still be in Indy if he wasn't absolutely good.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So
I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
There you go. Bucko Mike. That's the move.
Thank you, Connor. Anyway. All right, so we're smashing Luis Ortiz.
I'm passing on Dwayne Underwood. How about that?
Yes. So where are we going next? There's been a lot of, I mean, like I said, the funny thing is there's been a lot of controversial players on this team for like the past few weeks, especially. Do we want to go Suwinski next? Because I know he's getting a lot of hate the past 2 nights. Love/hate. Hence controversy. What about Jack Suwinski?
Yeah, we can do Suwinski next.
Who is Jack Suwinski?
A bum.
So this is where I'm going to disagree with Tyler quite a bit. I don't think Jack Suwinski is that great, but
Jim, you called him Juan Soto 3 weeks ago.
I said he was playing like Juan Soto.
No, you called him a Juan Soto. Good Juan Soto. I said he was
prime Juan Soto.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
By the way, he's still 24.
That. Clearly, he's not that. Okay. But when he's on fire, like his 2-3 weeks where he's just like he hits everything out of the yard, he's peak Juan Soto. But then he goes through these stretches of like a month at a time where he's worse than like a low A ball hitter, basically. Like he's been trash for the month of May. Now, with that being said, he's young, hasn't even had a full season of games yet. I think he's still interesting enough to like you don't give up on the guy. He's been an above average hitter for his career. He's got like 3 WAR in his first 146 games. Like that's not a bad baseball player. Is he streaky? Is he good? I don't think he's good, but I don't think he's bad either. Like I think he has some value. I don't think he should be playing every day like he has been, but he needs to be in the lineup every day against a right-handed pitcher. Like plain and simple. There's really no one else to go to.
He's not a bomb. Go ahead, Donardo. Go ahead.
I want to bring something up here. He is very interesting. And do you want to know why he's interesting? Because he does the weirdest effing shit in the entire world all the time. Like, I don't understand. I feel like I've just never seen a player like Jack Suwinski in my entire life. Like his splits from righty to lefty are very, very, very polarizing. Last year, his home and away splits, like I've never seen anything like that, how weird it was. This year, he's hitting better away than he is at home in total. Albeit, I'm sure a lot of it's going to come into the next point here. But like when you look at this year, you talk about how he's been a productive hitter, right? He's over above average. But like when you break it down, and this is what your point, Jim, like his streaks, he's like the streakiest player to ever exist as well. So from April 1st to April 10th, 40 weighted runs created plus. From April 11th to April 29th, a 238 weighted runs created plus. And from April 30th to now, 42 weighted runs created plus. Like he basically had 2.5 weeks this year where he was a god. Again, like, yes, he was better than prime Juan Soto for 2.5 weeks. And then he turned to that high A hitter every other play. Like how is someone this good and this bad at the same time? And I don't know how and where that plays. Like this guy can absolutely win you games, and then he's just gone.
He's going to be like a really interesting sabermetric study. Like if Fangraphs ever digs into it to find the true value of a Jack Suwinski, because like you said, Denard, I've never seen it before. The hot streak for like 2 weeks and then just the absolute horrendousness for the rest of the year. I'd love to know the actual value of it because it can't be really calculated with WAR, I don't think. Jim was going to talk, so I'll let him talk.
I mean, I think that's what WAR is there for, is to kind of figure that out, because the 2 week stretch is like, I mean, WAR is a cumulative stat. So if you're otherworldly for 2 weeks, are you so otherworldly for those 2 weeks that it makes up for a month of just shit? Right. And then you go otherworldly again for a week and then you go back to shit. I don't know. But like last year, he was a decent baseball player. And like you said, just a super weird season. He couldn't hit the ball on the road, crushed the ball at home. This year, another really weird season, but he's already put up 1 WAR. Like if you look at his stat line, you just say to yourself, this guy's not bad. You know, if you just kind of like look at his numbers, guy's not bad. But like he goes through these stretches where he's the worst player on the field. It's mind-boggling, and I think that's why like I don't think you give up on the guy, but like you can't say that Jack Suwinski is a future everyday Major League Baseball player. Like that's clearly not the case. He's proven that over his first 147 games in the majors, that he's so
next year.
Inconsistent. Yeah, like he's so inconsistent that you cannot count on him consistently. Like he's just going to be one of those guys, I feel like, who's just going to frustrate you forever and ever and ever. But like, is he good? I don't know. Is he bad? I don't know. Like he's just like there.
It's been a roller coaster, but we have 0 answered questions about Jack Suwinski for March. I feel like we were saying the same exact thing in March.
We've been saying the same thing
questions.
We've been saying the same thing since he debuted. Like every time you want to give up on him, he like goes crazy, and you're like, oh well, maybe I was wrong about Jack Suwinski.
Well, then shit, let's give up on him right now.
And then every time you're like, you know what, Jack Suwinski is a good baseball player, he proves to you that he's not. So it's just this weird up and down roller coaster that makes no sense. And I mean, I'm leaning towards if you're this inconsistent, you're not good. Right? But are you bad? Or are you just gotta take it? Like,
so I'm gonna make an extreme point here. Go, Tyler. Go, Tyler.
No, go ahead and speak. Make your extreme point. Dummy.
So I'm gonna make an extreme point here to bring up, I guess, why Tyler was saying what he said, in a sense, which I agree with. Like, how valuable is this type of a player? So again, understand this is extreme, but understand the concept of it. If I have 100 points to give all season, is it worth to put up 50 in 2 games and then lose the like another 98 by 2? Because I put all of my output in those 2 games, and then I sucked for the rest, and I lost 98 games out of the 100 I had that year. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm getting at. Like, if he's not going to show up for a whole month, and then he gives you a month's worth of output in 2 days, is that really value? Like, did I need to beat the Rockies 20-3? Maybe a 15-3, and I have 5 more runs for some other games, you know, that I can maybe win those games too. So again, I know it's extreme, but like that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like he just goes ungodly for these 2 weeks and then disappears for a month and a half.
What was your date range? The 250 something weighted runs created plus date range?
411 to 429, which was a 238. Which again was the Rocky series. I mean, the Pirates were beating up on teams, so maybe they need to win by 15.
So Jack Suwinski over that time period put up 1.3 WAR.
Right.
And he's at 1 WAR for the season now. So that 1.3 WAR for that 2 weeks, and he's been at -3, -0.3 the rest of his time. So I just wanted to figure out what that number was.
Oh, gotcha.
Keep going.
So I think where I'm at with Suwinski right now, obviously I'm being a little facetious by calling him a bum, but I'm kind of not. I'm at the point with him where I think Jim is on the right track, that he's probably a Major League Baseball player. But I think we're getting to the point now where I just don't know he's a great fit for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He might be a better fit for a team that can afford to maybe sit him on the bench more often. This team needs more consistency from guys. And he just doesn't seem to be a guy you can count on. Well, doesn't seem to. He's not a guy you can count on. And I don't know that he really fits here. If that makes any sense at all. The Pirates
I think that's a fair assessment. Like the Pirates is there room for a guy like this?
There's so little margin for error that Jack Suwinski can't really exist here.
It's hard to argue. Like you said, we talked about there's 3 guys that are everyday players, and it's question marks after that. So you can't roster 10 guys that are not everyday players because this is what you get. So I guess that makes sense. I guess my rebuttal to that is, well, maybe Ben Cherington needs to put together a team that can afford a Jack Suwinski. On the other sense of that, I think one thing that's becoming more and more clear regardless is that he is a platoon player. It's the better side of the platoon, so at least there's that, right? But I think, which is funny, because we keep saying, like, what is he? What is he? And from day one, we pegged him and said he's probably more of a 4th outfielder. And I think we're coming to that conclusion that that's probably what he is at his best. At his best. But it's just, even at his best, how good is he? I don't know. Maybe if just being a platoon, he has some mental breaks and not playing as much and he can stay more consistent. I don't know. But like, if you're going to be a platoon guy as well, and you have a month and a half stretch where you're terrible, then that's even more worrisome.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, that's a good point. His career numbers against lefties are extremely bad. We're going to get to another guy who the Pirates seem to be platooning quite often here later in the show. And Jack Suwinski's numbers against left-handed pitchers are far, far, far worse than, say, Castro's numbers against right-handed pitchers. But like you said, he has performed fairly well against right-handed pitchers. But it's just, again, yeah, like that inconsistency is just, I don't know how you can't count on the guy. That's basically where we're at. You can't count on the guy.
It almost makes him borderline unusable. When you go through the stretches he goes through, you just almost can't use the guy at all.
If you have a good lineup and he becomes your Austin Hedges, again, back to roster construction, like you talk about affording a guy, like, sure. If he's your number 9 hitter, then sure. Because when he goes to God mode, holy hell, that lineup's incredible. But when he falls off, you can afford that. Because I'll give him this. Defensively, now this is what's been shocking. Defensively, he's panned out much, much better than I anticipated. So, like, he's not at least a liability in the field. So if he's going to be the Austin Hedges, right, decent defensively and a liability with a bat until he's not, you can live with that. But, right, he's the Pirates' like 3, 4, 5 hitter most nights.
Yeah, that's the issue. Like, he's not someone that you can plug into the 3 hole on a consistent basis. Like, if you do that, you're going to lose 15 out of 20 games, which is what this team has done, basically.
Now, granted, he's 24. Like, there's still development. That's what this year can present itself. But for the same reasons you want Castro to see right-handed pitching, you want Suwinski to see left-handed pitching, you know, like, you want to see him develop it. But, like, I'm not so sure I see it coming from him. And even if it does, it's still like it's the same issue. Like he's just so weird.
And like Tyler said, like the way that this roster is constructed, you only have room for so many platoon hitters. You can't have 6 out of 9
hitters.
spots. Yeah. You can't have 6 out of the 9 spots in your lineup, filled with platoon guys. It's not a recipe for winning. It's not even possible mathematically, right? In terms of roster construction. So like either you can't do it mathematically or your team's going to be bad. And so what we've seen this past month,
Jim.
the team's going to be bad.
They're signing Ohtani. They can do it.
Yeah, maybe with Ohtani on the team, you have a little bit more leeway. But I mean, that's I mean, like right now, I think you have to with what's going on this team, you have to play him against righties. What are your other options? But you put him in the game against a left-handed pitcher, and you might as well just be punting that spot because he's basically Austin Hedges at that point.
I think I'm okay letting it ride out with Jack Suwinski right now. Now, if he continues being the Jack Suwinski that we all know to this point, I have no interest in seeing him on the team in 2024. That's kind of where I'm at. I don't need it again. I don't need a third year of it.
Yeah.
I need better.
I need to reassess after the season to really say that.
If it's the same Jack Suwinski the rest of the year, I need better.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I'm at with him. He's still like a pre-arb guy, so like he's got some value just because he's cheap. Like if you're above average and you're cheap, then like there's value there, But
mean, he was.
That means he has trade value as well.
Yeah, he's so confusing, and it's so hard to actually like make a decision on him because once I feel like I've made up my mind on Jack Suwinski and who he is 4 times over the last year.
Oh yeah.
And every time I make up my mind, he just completely shifts gears and goes the opposite direction. You
called him Prime Juan Soto.
Those words did come out of my mouth at one point. I'll own that.
You better. It's on YouTube. It's there.
I'm gonna go. I'm deleting the videos. I've got the YouTube password. I'm gonna take that video down.
The best part was when you like stopped yourself and you're like, "No, I'm going through with it." He's Prime Juan Soto.
That's a take.
Hey, that's what we're here for.
Hot takes all day.
Yeah.
It's a hot stove.
Anyway. So at the end, we just talked about Jack Suwinski for 20 minutes, and I don't think we came up with a conclusion in any way whatsoever.
The conclusion is that he is the guy that we thought he was back when he was acquired.
Basically.
Fair. I don't even know if I thought he was this though when he was acquired. Like, I mean, he's still a guy capable of hitting 20 homers in a season. Like, you play him every game, but
15 of those are coming in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a Willie Mo Pena.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Such a good call.
Yeah, that's the name.
I can't tell you how many times I added him and dropped him in fantasy.
Willie Mo Pena. Hey, Willie Mo Pena had a couple, like, weirdly okay years.
Jack Suwinski. It's such a good call.
If you had a Jack Suwinski, Willie Mo Pena platoon, guaranteed World Series.
Anyways, yeah, I don't know. I think it's just the thing about like just the mystique about Jack Suwinski. Still, like we have no answers on him. The walk, I mean, honestly, the walk rate has gotten so well too. Like there have been like changes. Like he's a different ball player. Some of the same issues, but now there's different issues, and I don't know. Anyways, I guess we can move on from him. Let's go to someone different. Do you want to go into that player you just mentioned? Do you want to go somewhere else?
No, let's do that. I mean, that's the last one remaining, isn't it?
A few others.
I guess there's a few other, but yeah. That's second
I
base.
mean, this guy's been controversial since day one, I feel. But Rodolfo Castro, you either want him DFA'd or you love him. And you know, I think we're more love's way too far, but like all of us, he should be playing. Like I love the talent that he has. I think he has the potential of being a good player. There's stuff there. Let's talk about Castro. I know I went off a little bit on Twitter today about some stuff.
Yeah, I mean the splits for Castro, obviously he's clearly better against lefties than righties. When he's facing left-handed pitchers, he's basically the best hitter in baseball. And that's like not even an exaggeration, to be honest.
It's like prime one.
Yeah. When he faces
Here's
righties,
the thing, for real.
Yeah, like for real.
Let's like this again.
When he's facing righties, obviously far, far worse. The thing is, though, is like he's not getting a ton of playing time against righties. When he was getting a lot of playing time against righties prior to, you know, this stretch where he's been kind of banished to a platoon player, he was playing shortstop, playing out of position. He was kind of like, there were weird circumstances going on too, where like he was doing things that he shouldn't have been doing. I just want to see him get like a consistent run where he's playing every day, no matter who the starting pitcher is, for a month. Like, give me a month of everyday Rodolfo Castro in his natural position of second base and just see what happens. If at the end of the month he's proven after 150 other plate appearances against right-handed pitching that he can't do it, fine. Castro's a platoon player. He's a short side platoon player, which kind of sucks, but he's also so good against that short side platoon that he's still a pretty valuable guy to have on your team. But they're just not giving him the chance right now. And we're never going to really find out who he is unless they do that.
Obviously. This is why I talk over you, Tyler, because you just stay silent for so long.
Because I always wait for you to speak up because you're the host of the damn show. So open your mouth, Donardo. But I'll talk because people want to hear from me more. I agree with Jim, obviously, because I always do sometimes. It is definitely frustrating that it feels like they're almost punishing him at this point for his struggles at shortstop, where he is sitting so much. He's got to get that extended look right now. And at the very least, you've got to find out if maybe he should give up on switch hitting because he's so good from the lesser side of the plate that maybe it's an option for him. He's got to get that longer look here. And like we saw last year when he got that longer look, we saw the talent really come through. At some point, this team's got to buy into the talent of these guys. Hwan Bae, we kind of know what he is. Rodolfo Castro, there's still something in there. And we saw it for the last 2 months of last year. They got to give him just give him a month. Give him a month at second base and let's see what happens. And then make adjustments from there. It feels like they pulled the plug on him a hair too soon.
He's too talented to not give him the opportunity. Like the ceiling is too high to just give up. So that's, yeah, like you've got, like, give him the chance. Give him the chance to hit against right-handed pitching while he's not having to worry about playing a defensive position that he can't play. And at the same time, the guy who's playing second base against right-handed pitchers is clearly in over his head. I think he has the skill set to be a useful Major League Baseball player if we're talking about Hwan Bae now. But right now, the game is too fast for him. He's just not doing anything well currently. I would be like, if it's me, Hwan Bae is going to AAA. Again, I'm passing on Hwan Bae. Castro is my new everyday second baseman. And we've seen some comments about it. We saw some talk on Twitter today. We're going to say his name for the first time in this podcast. Aaron Shackelford. Call him up. Why not? He's hot right now. Have him as that lefty bat who can play second base. That's the move to make right now.
DiNardo, let me just fill you in on something here.
So when I was going off about demoting Bae 2 weeks ago, if not one, I forget what it was, and you said I was an idiot, and you trashed me and went, you don't know ball, and now we're on board with the demote Bae because I said this game is way too fast for him. I need him every day at bats in AAA. Here we are 2 weeks later, just siding with me. Okay, cool.
I said it way more emphatically.
This is why your internet sucks at the beginning of the shows, Jim. You're an asshole.
For the record, could I just give a little bit of
Yes.
behind baseball here?
Mm.
Jim and I were on PlayStation earlier, and we were chatting, and I get this text message from my family group chat. Hey, Tyler, what do we know about Aaron Shackelford? So I mentioned this to Jim. He goes, you know what? I'm going to bring him up on the podcast tonight.
I don't care enough about him at all. Because you know who should be here? Henry Davis. That's who should be here. Not this 27-year-old catcher who's just gone nowhere. We don't need another Palacios. Sorry.
Who are we talking about now? Because there's a bunch of 27-year-old catchers that have gone nowhere on this team.
The one that Jim wants to bring up right now that was in the chat earlier. I'll find some of the comments here and show him, but that's why we're not bringing him up. But Jim wanted to. Okay, fine. We'll give him his due. He's having a nice AAA season, collecting AARP.
Okay, but can I get onto the real guy that
I guess you don't collect that, but regardless.
Like at some point here, Jared Triolo is getting his AAA at bats right now. You got to start tonight at shortstop.
Yep.
In all seriousness, that's probably the next name to look out for to come up and probably take Chris Owings' spot. And God, that would be nice. I don't care if he struggles. Just give me some sort of different guy. Not named Chris Owings or Mark Mathias or Miguel Andujar.
Fully on board with that.
Mean, yeah, I've been on the Triolo train as the shortstop once Cruz got hurt for a while. So, yeah, I think ultimately I would much prefer to see Triolo up here than Owings. Like maybe by like Monday, like let Triolo finish this series in Indianapolis and then like call him up. If Marcano continues doing what he's doing against right-handed pitchers, I think you've got to play Marcano at short. But I don't think Triolo's also a guy, like I'm not worried about like messing with Triolo's development. Like he's 25. He kind of is who he is at this point. Is he going to be able to help you or not? Like that's what we need to find out about Triolo. We don't need like Triolo's not one of those guys. Like he needs consistent at bats to develop. Like, the dude's 25. He played college baseball for 3 years. He's got 1,500 minor league at bats. Jared Triolo is who he is. Now let's find out if he's useful in any way.
Yeah, and I think from everything we've heard, the glove seems like it's going to be enough to carry him as a Major League Baseball player. The bat's been slightly encouraging. So he's a guy I'm slightly excited about, I guess. Like if we're really going to get down this rabbit hole of random quad A players.
I mean, if Chris Owings pretty much had a Major League career.
Yeah, like Chris Owings has played 4 seasons in the majors. So like if he can do it, Triolo can. I want to go back to the Shackelford comment too. Like I want to say like he's what, 26 years old, mashing the ball in AAA. The dude just like he deserves a shot. That's all I'm saying. Like I'm not saying like you need to like I'm not saying he's your new everyday second baseman, but like I would rather see Shackelford get 1 to 2 starts a week than Hwan Bae. That's what I'm saying.
So the point where I would agree with Jim is that I think this organization needs to do a better job of using these guys in AAA while they are hot. And just let them ride these little hot streaks out and see if they can help out the Major League Ball club while the offense is so pathetic. It's something going back to the Neil Huntington era that I don't think they did well. Guys in AAA that just for some reason are seeing the ball really well. Even if it's like a 2-week hot streak, just let it happen in Major League Baseball. Or at least find out if it's real.
Yeah, that's really all I'm saying. Like, see if you can catch lightning in a bottle with Aaron Shackelford for a few weeks. That's it. While you're playing Rodolfo Castro every day.
Like, for example, I go back to Andrew Lambeau, back when he was hot in AAA and the Pirates could not find a first baseman to hit a baseball. We know Andrew Lambeau sucked in the majors, but I would have liked to see him up here for 2 weeks during his hot streak. Same thing with Palacios right now. He is actually hitting the ball in the majors at this moment. Can he hit long-term? Absolutely not. He's not good. But right now, he's the only guy on the roster hitting the ball other than Andrew McCutchen.
Get Henry Davis here. He'll hit the ball. You have, at the very worst, you have Marcano. Do it, Jim. Do it, Jim.
You did it backwards.
Sorry. Louisville grad.
There you go.
That was for you.
Get Henry Davis up here. At the very worst, have Marcano and Castro platoon at second, and then put Triolo at short, and there you go. Roll with that. But anyway.
Everybody knows my stance on Henry Davis. Henry Davis needs to be in the majors.
I don't need Shackelford here.
But Henry Davis is catching and playing right field. Henry Davis isn't backing up middle infield. Like, yeah.
All right, and they can do that.
They can both do that. Like, they can both be up.
But back to Castro. Because yes, like I'm absolutely with you guys too. Like this is why I feel like I have to overdo it, because he gets so much hate. Like, I have to be the aggression to the mean. He gets so much hate for his defense, but it's because he's out of position. Like, the scenario put out today was, if they just decided to put Connor Joe in center field, are we going to blame Connor Joe for being a bad center fielder and hate him? Like, it's not his fault. He's not a center fielder. So him being in center field and being terrible there isn't his fault. It's the GM and manager that puts him there. And because this GM has not been able to develop and acquire and develop a player who can actually play shortstop, Castro is being forced to do it. And what we're seeing is he can't do it. And that's okay, because he shouldn't be doing it. It's not his fault for doing it when he shouldn't be there. But when you look at him at second base, he's competent enough. Like, I'm not saying he's like a good defender. We know he's not a good defender. He still has to get better. But he's not bad enough where he's like this liability that even though his offense, which is 23% better than the league average, it's not to a point where he just becomes a liability. You know, like I said, like, defensive runs saved, he has a +1 at second base. He has 2 errors on the year, right? Outs above average and -1 at second base. Like, a second base it's competent enough. It's just say it's below average. That's fine.
It's fine. His second place defense is fine.
To be a guy that can hit as well he does at the second base position is a lot of value. Because also, let's look at, I'm not saying he's Jose Altuve with the bat, but Jose Altuve is the absolute worst defender at second base. The absolute worst. So, like, if he can play there because he has a bat, then so can Rodolfo Castro as long as he has a bat.
I think the other part of it with Castro at second base is that he is athletic enough that he can turn into a pretty good second baseman. I know Kevin on Twitter mentioned before Gone Posting that Adam Frazier was atrocious at second base for a long time, and he turned into a pretty darn good one. Rodolfo Castro really hasn't gotten consistent innings at second base. If you give him consistent innings, he's probably going to turn into at least a slightly above average second baseman, in my opinion.
That's fair.
I think he can do it.
Yeah. Because he's never really been consistent anywhere his entire pro career. Like, even in the minors, they bounced him around. That was kind of what he was. Like, he was the super utility guy all throughout the minors. So, no, I think that's a very fair assessment. Like, he is athletic enough and talented enough that if you just give him consistent playing time at the position, he's just going to get better at it.
Obviously, I agree.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement here. Like, Rodolfo Castro needs to be the everyday second baseman. regardless who's on the mound, for an extended period of time. And guess what? After that extended period of time, whatever that is, and I don't know what the magic number is of plate appearances against right-handed pitching, whatever that is, but at some point, it'll be like, okay, this guy's either figuring it out or he can't do it. But I'm not
Here's
there yet.
why
They're not there yet.
there can't and shouldn't be this magic number either. That's all another point I'm going to bring up. You said like a month. That's so arbitrary to me as well, just simply because this is why I'm pissed off now about the whole scenario. If you want to talk platoons and splits, fine. But it's not as if the other guy that they're platooning him with is any good on that side of the platoon either. Like they're saying he can't hit righties. Well, Hwan Bae has like an 83 weighted runs created plus against righties. So it's not as if he's playing competent. So that's why I'm saying this too. Like if it's a month from now and he's not doing it, and Hwan Bae also is not doing it, then there's no incentive to say we still can't do this anymore. Because the alternative is still a bad bat. So let me take the guy with the talent and try to develop. Because once again, going back to what I keep talking about with talent right now lately, because that's the topic. Do you want to keep seeing talent leave Pittsburgh and get developed and become good? Or do you want to actually hang on to the damn talent, develop it, and then those guys be those people here? That's what Rodolfo Castro presents. He's talented. So freaking develop it.
I really do think there is something else to possibly, if this doesn't work out, working on just being a right-handed hitter. Is it Cedric Mullins, I think, was a guy like that really struggled from the left side of the plate, turned him into just right-handed. There's enough. Was it the other way around? Yeah. But Castro, on the other hand, right-handed, like there's more to play with there, I think, with him being predominantly right-handed, it seems like, that I can buy in a little more to that. So he has a little more leash for me.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely a conversation to be had. Like if it turns out that he just is crushing the ball from the right side of the plate, and it's so like the disparity is so wide that you come to the conclusion that he just simply shouldn't be batting left-handed anymore, then that's an option. I'm just, like I said, not there yet.
No.
And I don't know if that's a move that you make like in the middle of a season.
No.
That's probably something you do in an off season where you come to spring training and you go, all right, guys, I'm a right-handed hitter now. Right. So like, this front office clearly isn't showing the intention to put together like a world championship squad this season, right? By any means. So let's use the season to figure out if Rodolfo Castro is a switch hitter or not. Let's find out. Let's give him 500 plate appearances and figure out, is Rodolfo Castro a switch hitter, or do we need to go into spring training 2024 and just say, Castro, you're a right-handed hitter? Find that out right now.
Yes. That's it. That's what the season's about. Development and competency. They added some of the competency, so let's get some of the development going.
And the other part is there are so many guys that struggle at the plate against, well, normally it's left on left, that just naturally get better as they see more of it. When you're not given the opportunity, and obviously this team is still treating this as a developmental year, when you're not giving him the opportunity to do so, what the hell are we doing here?
Right.
I mean, you can go back to Jack Suwinski. If this is a true developmental year, just keep playing him against lefties and let's see what happens. See if he gets better.
So, anyways, just throw this out there. If it ends up being that he's just a platoon guy versus lefties, for his career, Rodolfo Castro hits 289, 352, slugs 616, a 161 weighted runs created plus. Defensively at second base, again, about average, below average. If at the very minimum you're going to get out of Rodolfo Castro is that, He is Mookie Betts in that platoon spot. But that's why I say this isn't because he had 2 weeks where he has better bat control and, you know, like he's like Juan Soto, you're saying, like, this is his career numbers versus lefties. And you're taking Mookie and saying, hey, play second base now. Like, at the very minimum against lefties, he's Mookie Betts. That's what you have in Rodolfo Castro.
And
Part-time.
And the other part that we just kind of glossed over, we talked about the talent Rodolfo Castro has. The guy's got so much damn power on a team that doesn't have power right now. Let the guy play. Instead of letting a slap hitter play second base and overrun bags all day long. I'd rather his cell phone fall out of his pocket than watch him overrun bases left and right. And we're lucky I just said overrun bases. I'm being nice tonight.
Yeah, I mean, as far as from a power standpoint goes, I mean, he went through that like 2-week stretch where he got 2 starts, right? I don't know what crazy, but whatever. Bucko Mike.
Dying from Bucko Mike's comment here.
But yeah, like you saw that Mitch Keller complete game shutout, right? The only runs scored that game it was a Rodolfo Castro home run. So like you're a team right now that's desperate for power. You can't afford to just not play one of your best power hitters.
Yep. So we're smashing Rodolfo Castro, right?
I hate you so much. Maybe we're swiping right.
Okay.
Cell phone reference.
So we're an hour 6 into this. I think we've covered the main guys we want to talk, though, right? Luis Ortiz with mixing in there some others, and then Castro, Suwinski. But like, I feel like we should talk a little bit about Bae. Yes, we've done so with that, but Marcano, I kind of want to talk about also. All 3 of us go back to the Jack Suwinski trade, right? That was actually headlined by Marcano, and I think all 3 of us kind of agreed that Suwinski's probably the most intriguing one of that deal. Marcano, we don't understand. You talk about Bae as a slap hitter. I mean, we jokingly were calling Marcano Cole Tucker light. So
Coke Tucker.
Well, yeah, it would always autocorrect to Coke Tucker, which kind of made the joke funnier because yeah. But anyways, he was like Cole Tucker light. And obviously up to this point in his career, that's what he's been. But now there's an actual fundamental change in his swing. He's doing things differently. And you know what? He's kind of a productive hitter, especially against righties. And as we talk about Castro, if he's going to be a lefty platoon guy, well, there is Marcano, and he's hitting righties pretty well right now too. Are we, I don't want to say buying back, because I don't think we ever did. Jim did last year. Jim bought back into Marcano. Are we
we basically called him Prime Juan Soto.
Where do we stick with, I like to call him Tuke?
Let me just kind of preface this with, you mentioned some changes, right? These are the changes that we're seeing. And I think what's interesting about Marcano is I don't know if people kind of just realize like how young he is. Like he made his major league debut at 21, came straight from A ball to do it. But a couple numbers here, and this is just batted ball statistics. Barrel percentage, last year 1.6% barrel percentage. This year 7.5. So he is squaring balls up at a much, much higher rate this year. His average exit velocity on batted balls last year was 84.7. This year it's 89.7. So it's up 7%, somewhere in that area, 6%. His max exit velocity is up, obviously. Launch angle's up slightly, but he's just hitting the ball harder now than he ever has in his life. And he's looking more and more like, I'm not quite ready to, like, no one here should be anointing Tucupita Marcano like this future major league starter, right? But he's looking more and more like someone who can at least be called upon to put together competitive at bats, like on a consistent basis, and play competent defense up the middle. The arm's not great, but the glove's fine. He's looking like he's developing into a nice utility player. So that's kind of where I'm at with him. With O'Neal Cruz out, Tucupita Marcano has kind of shown that he's capable of holding down the fort, right? But I mean, I'm not like, no one should be to the point where they're like, Tucupita Marcano is turned the corner and he's really good. But he has looked like a professional baseball player, like a major league player, pretty much all season long. And he's really turning on now that he's getting a little more consistent playing time.
Sure. It's been 86 plate appearances, right? And that's kind of where I'm at. Does that negate everything that's happened for his career? No. But as I feel like from day one I've been on the show, I mean, they talk about like if there's an actual like fundamental change. It's not as he got caught up and he's like on a hot streak right now. It's not like he's having a Jack Suwinski hot streak. Now you look at his numbers and he's at like a 109 weighted run created plus. He's above average and like, oh, he's here, he's arrived. His swing's changed. He's hitting the ball harder now, right? So like there's production from this. So I guess where I'm at too is I've pretty much all but written him off as a player. Like I've just never liked his game all the way through this offseason, right? And now that he's here and actually watching it, okay, maybe I don't need to write him off anymore. So it's like I said today on Twitter too. I'm interested in him, but very slowly. Like he's going to take a lot more than this 100 plate appearances, 200, 300. Like I need to see a lot from this. But at this point, I'm not writing him off. But like you said, though, Jim, too, one thing about him, like the glove's good. He needs to be the shortstop for now. The arm's atrocious, and that's why he can't play it long term. But the glove's good enough, and that's what this team needs. They need Castro at second base to do Castro stuff there. They need Marcano to be at shortstop. So at least the glove's there. Get by watching his terrible arm. It is what it is. But right, like he's competent enough right now in the box. I'm not sure if it's going to last. But I've taken I've wrote him off right, taking it back.
Yeah, I think at this point, one of the reasons you really want Rodolfo Castro in the lineup is because him and Hayes at second and third, you can kind of limit the lesser arm strength of Marcano because Rodolfo has a good arm on him. Hayes can cut off a lot going the other way. So you can kind of try to limit that there. The other part about Marcano right now, I'm with you, Donardo. I wrote him off completely. I had no interest in watching this guy play baseball at all. The cut down of strikeouts that he's done, if you strike out 11% of the time, normally you can find a place on a major league roster. At the end of the day, if you have that good of bat-to-ball skills, they can find a spot for you.
Adam Frazier.
Yeah. Do I think it's sustainable? No. But they're at a position right now where the glove is good enough to play short for at least the next couple months. And the bat somehow has kind of hung up. And it kind of does look sustainable to this point, just the bat-to-ball skills. But at the same time, we've never really seen him strike out this little, which is slightly concerning. So it's just like the Castro situation. I want to see more, but you got to keep him in the lineup and let's see it play out. At this point, we've seen Hwan Bae. He's striking out over 20% of the time. For a guy like that, that's not sustainable. Like, you're not going to be able to hit at this level. Marcano, he's done a lot to cut him down. So I want to see if it can continue for another 200 plate appearances.
Yeah. I'm with it. And it benefits. Again, Castro at short is atrocious. So it doesn't really matter how good the bat is. That's where the defense is so bad that it just washes everything out. So you put him in a better situation in second. You put Marcano at short. Your pitchers are now thankful that that's happening, right? It helps that side out. And yeah, like you can actually be better while developing and letting these things play out. And that's a perfect example of this. which is funny because we can kind of tie this into, because I'm not going to talk too much on these next, but with Bae, you mentioned about Castro, the strikeouts, and Marcano, the strikeouts and such. Castro is striking out at a lesser percentage than Hwan Bae. For all the people that are, his plate discipline is awful. He doesn't know what he's swinging at, all this and that. Castro's walking this year, and you're literally at the point right now where he's striking out less than Hwan Bae, who has no power. Like, this is a contact guy who has to use his speed as a weapon, and he's striking out way too much than he needs to be doing right now. He doesn't have the contact, and when he uses his speed, he also gets out there as well. So I wanted to use that to also hype up Castro, because Castro, there you go. Just another thing to talk about with him. But Bae, guys.
So what was the question?
This is Bae. Let's kind of wrap this up and talk with Bae, because he's the other.
Do we have to talk about Hwan Bae?
Just real quickly, I guess.
Do I have to get on a soapbox? I'm just teasing.
Hwan Bae should be. Hwan Bae is not doing anything of value currently on this major league roster, and until he can figure out a way to not strike out as much, use his speed to his advantage in the batter's box, and use his speed to his advantage while he's on the bases when he does get on, as opposed to constantly running himself into outs. He should not be on this team. I think he needs to go to AAA, and I think he needs to just kind of find himself again, make better contact, put the bat on the ball, and just kind of hone in his overall base running ability. Like, I think that's kind of just what he needs to do, because right now he's a complete detriment to the team. When you're starving for offense as much as this team is, you can't just afford to give up a lot of the opportunities that you have on offense just from stupid self-inflicted errors. And that's what Hwan Bae has been doing for quite some time now. And has not been valuable in any way.
Absolutely agree. This is where I'm going to go on my soapbox a little bit here. He has looked awful. And I think, again, the thing we keep bringing up and talking about, it's just like the trigger word, this game just looks absolutely too fast for him. This game has not slowed down at all for him. And that is absolutely why I want him in the minors. But at the same point, Hwan Bae in this scenario brings up a perfect example of like what I keep talking about over and over and over again. Him going back down to the minors right now isn't a failure. Okay. So like the way I want to present this and twist it is, if this were Endy Rodriguez, right? Everyone says they have you can't let a prospect come up and struggle. Like, they have to stride, they have to hit it and come up. These struggles for Hwan Bae and being sent back down to the minors, if this to happen, could be the best thing to happen to Hwan Bae, right? Like, this is a very valuable lesson for Hwan Bae. Like, all the stuff that he's been going through right now, right? He's probably learned quite a bit. So to go back down to the minors and take what he's learned right now, knowing what he has to work on and do, and then doing that in the minors, he could come back a much more polished player and productive. Like, what I'm gonna say is, like, I'm not writing Hwan Bae off either. Like, there's talents with him also, right? For the same reasons as Castro and all the other guys we talk about. Like, I'm not here to say, well, Hwan Bae, we know what Hwan Bae is, and this is it, and will never succeed. But what I am saying is, this game is way too fast for him. He does not belong in the majors. He does not belong. There's not one facet of his game that even looks good right now. But he could damn well go back to the majors, take what he's learned right now, develop it, and come back, and you could see more of who you thought he was going to be this year.
I think Hwan Bae needs humbled. Honestly, that's where it comes back. I think he needs humbled really badly.
Well, he's getting it right now.
But he's not learning from it. The way he's running the bases, he's arrogant. The way he feels is arrogant. And when I say arrogant, I mean it's like a 10-year-old that is just faster than everybody on a basketball court that just dribbles around, and then they face someone that learns how to press. and they can't do that no more. He's just out of control everywhere he goes.
Right.
We saw him even opening day just taking ground balls from O'Neal Cruz at shortstop. Like, the guy is out of control. He needs to learn to play within himself, or he's never going to be a major leaguer.
Yep.
Also, cut his hair, because I'm tired of watching him flip his helmet off and flick it around a little bit just for the camera. It drives me freaking crazy. Also,
He don't
because
need
I
to cut
just
his
hate
hair.
the guy. Also, he needs to take the earrings out and the chains off because they annoy me too. Just because I don't like the guy.
Greg Brown, welcome.
Well, it's Hwan Bae, so I'm allowed to have this
Or no,
opinion.
who was that? Blast. Acuna.
Yeah, it was Blast. No, Acuna's allowed to wear that stuff. He deserves it. He's a dude. Hwan Bae's not.
Anyway, though, that's just my stance. He needs to go back down to AAA. He needs to take a lot of what he's seeing right now, slow this game down. So we're passing on Hwan Bae.
Oh, yeah.
Hard
I think that
pass.
pretty much wraps up the thing we're
Hard
going to talk
pass.
about. So more
I'm deleting
Castro,
my Tinder account on Hwan Bae. Wait, if he
more
pops up.
Castro, more Marcano, more Luis Ortiz. Maybe about
More
the same amount
Castro.
for Suwinski.
Yeah.
We
Yeah, I mean,
don't
who
know.
else are you gonna put?
I mean,
The Suwinski thing
yeah.
is just like, what else are you gonna do? Like,
Yeah, just let
there's
it.
no
You got to
one
let it
else.
ride.
Yeah.
Henry Davis.
No, that just means less of Palacios
Right.
and Hedges.
And Andujar, who's gone now. Thank the Lord.
But guys, he hit another home run.
He also got thrown out tonight trying to stretch a single into a double because he's a bum.
Anywho, does that pretty much wrap this up?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Well, then I guess with that said, a couple things of note. June 3rd, we will have the live podcast. We'll be there at 12. Show starts at 1. It's going to be what, guys?
There we go,
Gold
Jim.
Lot.
We figured it out.
You guys are idiots. I don't know where it's at, though, so you guys fill me in on that part.
Jim
is
said
it?
the parking lot.
Gold Lot 2. Is that what it's called? I have the flyer here.
Oh.
This is the to be determined location flyer. I don't have the updated flyer. Jim, where's it at? Cody, where's it at? Cody's in the chat. Cody, where's it at? With that said, we'll have koozies giving away. Come get your NS9 koozie. We'll have the show at 1. It's also O'Neal Cruz bobblehead night. So it's a good game against the Cardinals. Also 4:05 start pitch. There it is. Gold Lot 2 behind Southern Tier. So be there between 12 and 1, ideally. And then other than that, we'll be on tomorrow for the postgame show to watch the Pirates play again.
It's going to be a late one.
It is. I'll be
on here in like 45 minutes.
Oh, yeah. 33, actually.
No, I'm going to push it back to 11:15. 11:15 start time out of the park stream. First place Pirates going into July.
There you go. So we'll get out of here. Appreciate everyone for listening. I guess. Bye-bye.
Peace out, Girl Scouts.
See ya.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.